Rhena, you just passed the PMP. How good do you feel right now?
I feel great.
All right, so talk to me a little bit about kind of like when you hit that button and you saw congratulations. Like, walk me through it. What went through your mind? Like, what did you do? Tell me.
I was very happy. I would say this would be my second time taking it. The first time I didn't really tell anybody. I just took it, and um, like my time management, I think, is what really got me on the first one. But the second time, I was still in the camera like this.
That's good. I mean, it's really awesome. So you went through the accelerator, did some other stuff with us, but when it comes down to it, like, what helped you get over it this time? Like, what was the difference? What helped you? Like, was there anything specific that really made a difference for you?
I would say I really did practice on where I needed to be when I got to that 89 question and try to stay in there.
Mm-hmm.
I still had a little bit of time left at the end so I could go back and actually review. The first time I was like right there at 200 questions and no time to go back and review. I will also say that actually like reading the last sentence and actually figuring out where we were, like we do on those hard questions, it really did help the second go around because it actually said, okay, I was almost answering the questions before I read the questions. So I felt a little better. I was looking for certain things, let's say that.
Okay. And that was the first time you did it, that wasn't the case.
It was not the case. Honestly, I don't even know. I got below target, but it was like right there at the line.
Yeah.
But it was just like I wasn't really retaining the questions. Like I was just like trying to real fast to read them.
Yeah.
But nothing was.
Just wasn't coming together.
Yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't very confident.
All right, and the second time you did really well, so that's good. So I know that like in the email you just sent out this morning with like Matt and me and the other people, like a lot of people with the accelerator say like the videos that are like step by step and go through and break things down are super helpful. A lot of people say that the group coaching calls, either the accountability, the hard coaching calls are really good, or the community. Like when you talk about like those hard question calls, like why were they helpful for you if they were, and like talk me through that if you don't mind, please.
I think the feedback from the other people in the actual conversation, in the actual calls, help because it helps you look at something that you probably didn't even look at. Like I would look at it the first time from a risk standpoint, and it could be from a communication standpoint. And so just having that dialogue back and forth was really good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you work someplace where you do scheduling and they build a big things or they overhaul big things. If you want to say it, you can say it. Are you looking at your job and then the overall projects that are done there any differently now that you've gone through this stuff?
I do look at it that, and as far as like how I manage my little projects that I do within my job title.
Yeah.
And so like the scheduling part was, good because I've seen those type of things. And then the risk part, I kind of do like that Monte Carlo stimulation and, in part of my job for, scheduled risk assessments. But the other stuff that goes into it was actually, I learned a lot.
That's good. I mean, it's not just like a pump and dump thing where you're out there. So like on the exam, did you data dump or anything like that?
Well, I like math, so yeah, those equations I kind of
So you just got them, right? Like, yeah. All right, that's cool.
So I didn't really have the data dump on that one. It was just, okay, I know what this means, so I knew how to do the equations.
And like a lot of people out there, even if they are okay at math, they do think the EVM stuff is like super confusing. Like, do you believe it's confusing, or how do you make sense of it? Is it just because you're a math savant, or how do you get it going in your head?
Well, like engineering is my background, so the equations were somewhat easy. I just remember, like from scheduling is planning, and EV, and for costs is EV and actual cost. So as long as I remembered those two things, I was able to remember the equations. So.
To get it through. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So now that you have gone through and you've experienced both sides of it, you've gone through and boom, and been okay. Got to redo this thing, and then you've been super successful and excited and all that stuff. If someone were to come to you and say, "Hey, Rhena, like, what's one thing that you really think I should do or stick to or focus on as I progress through this?" What would be that one thing?
If they're taking your boot camp, I would definitely take those the simulator test.
Okay.
And just keep doing that. That's what I really did, and I kept doing it. And the first time I was making like 80s and 90s, and I kind of felt confident about it. But I just think my problem was I hadn't taken a test in a long time. Sitting there for 4 hours, not really knowing how the test was gonna be, and I just started freaking out when I when I started taking it. And so my mind was totally different the second time when I did it. So
okay, so how was your mind different the second time?
Because I knew like with your test, it was like in hours and minutes.
Okay.
So when you go in that test, it's all in minutes. So I'm like, I don't really know where I'm at, and then I couldn't. Like I was freaking out. I couldn't even figure out like an equation or something just to even figure out where I needed to be.
Okay, so you're saying the minutes, like it counts down like a lot of minutes down to a little bit of minutes, right?
Right.
All right, I'll tell the computer dudes to say figure it out and put minutes, not hours and minutes. So we'll see if the computer dudes can figure it out. So that's good.
I made a suggestion for them to switch it over to hours and minutes. So we'll see.
Right, okay. So as soon as Rhena's got a good idea. They'll switch it over. I'll figure out my guys and spend a week figuring it out, and then I'll be whatever again. That's no problem. All right, cool. So we said, all right, focus on quizzes, build yourself up, really look there. If there was something you'd say, oh, please don't do that. Like one thing that people shouldn't do, maybe like in traditional way of thinking or something, like is there something where you would say, please people don't do a certain thing? Is there anything out there like that?
I think it's the same thing you guys teach us. Don't think of how you would handle it in a ideal situation. Think of how PMBOK would handle it, because there was a lot of questions like that. I'm like, okay, this is what I would do, but PMBOK wouldn't do it that way. So
right, and a lot of times, so I think that's fair. And a lot of times, like to get out of normal stressful situations, like we, myself included, will take certain actions. Be like, okay, dude, just address this really quickly, and then long term I can clean it up, or I can work it out, or I have this relationship with this person, it'll be okay. And that's one thing I think people fall into, because like a lot of people that come into this, like yourself, good at their job, smart, able to work stuff out, engineering type mind or whatever. But at PMBOK, I think once more like document it, be very, go disciplined, like work a long-term solution out. And you're like, in my normal day life, like can't do that every time. Like I got things to do. So that's reasonable. That's good suggestion. Why were you doing this to begin with? Like, what was the PMP, just for fun or what?
I would honestly say it started out as fun because, a lot of people just said, hey, Rhena, why don't you go do this? And I'm like, I don't really have the time to do it. But with COVID, I was like, hey, I'm at home anyway.
Okay. No one's ever said it started off as kind of fun. Like, all right.
But I mean, I did learn a lot. Like years ago, I used to do Six Sigma, so it kind of brought back some Six Sigma stuff. So I like doing that type of stuff. So it started out as fun, and then it reminded me while I said I wasn't going back to school.
Yeah, it's easier than going back to school. And like, obviously we try to organize it also that like, while you're working, even if you're working at home, you can go to calls at night. And so, you went calls with me occasionally, calls with Matt, right? Who else were you in calls with? Like, Steve, yeah.
And Britta.
Oh gosh. So you were all around, like, yeah. So that's good. I mean, I'm glad you got like a lot of, was it helpful to get other, like Britta and Steve are different, like in their like coaching, and then Matt and I are at like the instructor level. I mean, I have a little bit different perspective. But did you find like having different opinions, was that helpful for like the coaching wise?
It was good. And then I guess because I was in so many classes, you get different opinions from,
student,
whoever comes on the call. So
yeah,
like I said, everybody looked at it different, and some people are at different stages, so it's interesting to see how they answer the questions before they even get to that part too. So.
Do you like thinking through the questions and logicking through it? It sounds like you like the community stuff and like talking to other people. Do you like doing that stuff?
Yes and no.
Okay. I'm always trying to see if people are interested in like coaching and stuff like that as we go forth. Like if you have a passion for like helping people learn and doing those things. So,
I mean, I've always just been the type person. Yeah, if we need help, I'm here to help.
No doubt.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
I've just been like the teacher type. I don't.
Me either, but look at where I am now. Who knows?
Well, you do a good job at it.
I appreciate it. It's all I need. So that's cool. Well, I really, really appreciate it. You did an amazing job. Actually, one more question, but I really, really think it's great the way you kind of bounced back. You were so close, and then you just understood what mattered and you stuck to it. So that's super amazing. Now, if there's anybody else that's out there that's like you, that hears like the way you're talking, it's like, you know, I see myself in her, like kind of similar, like we just sound the same, like, you know, whatever. And they're on the fence, or maybe they're lost. Like they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I've been studying for so long. What would be your recommendation for those people so that they can end up smiling like you are?
Honestly, I would just say keep trying and get your test level in that, green area.
Mm-hmm.
And once you like start being able to, like you teach us on those Wednesday classes, going through the thing, I think you'll be ready.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know you got things to do today, and I really, really appreciate you jumping on. It means a lot that you passed and you did so well. You know, we have a little bit of shared history in a sense, so I really, really appreciate that. And thank you again, and good job.